there's still a very long lecture, so I will just have to run through the topics as fast as possible. So, but the subsequent lectures that I have will be very short. This one is the fundamental surgery, is still very long topic. Comprises the entire anatomy of the body, and then just an overview. But the subsequent lectures will be very specific already. So, sorry for this. So, we'll proceed. So, for the joints you have, you can classify the joints as synovial, fibrous, and cartilaginous joints. You have your example of this one. So, for synovial joints, it's united by a joint capsule, articular, and then it's composed of outer fibrous layer lined by a posterior synovial membrane. So the joint cavity, there's a potential space in this one where lubricated synovial fluid is secreted. Of course, without that, it acts like an oil in the engine. Without that friction, that is what happens during arthritis, osteoarthritis. Those synovial fluid and those membranes in the middle of the joints are already eaten away as the age goes by. So that is the problem of your osteoarthritis. So for the fibrous joint, it is united by a fibrous tissue among the amount of movement depends on the length of the fibers uniting the articulating bones. This is the third syndesmosis. It unites the bone with the sheet of fibrous tissue, ligament or fibrous membrane. The example of this one is the radius and ulna on the proximal side. The fracture that I've shown you was on the distal side, distal portion. This one is on the proximal portion, radius and ulna. Why do you call this a radius? In the proximal area, radius meaning circular. Okay. This is in the proximal portion. The radius on the distal portion is wider, but on the thumb area, it is flat. As compared to this one on the proximal area, near the elbow area, it is circular. That's why it's called radius. This syndesmosis is because of this interosseous membrane. It allows for movement, pronation, and supination. For the cartilaginous joint is united by a hyaline cartilage or fibrous cartilage. Primary cartilaginous joints, synchondrosis, is united by a hyaline cartilage, usually temporarily used such as development of a long bone. As for the secondary, the other synthesis is also united by a fibrocartilage. One example for your secondary is your intervertebral disc between the bodies of your vertebra. While your primary cartilaginous joints, for example, is in your femur or femur bones. For the types of synovial joints, it could further be classified for this one. It depends on the movement of the joints. Don't worry, it's present in your book. Lane joint, hinge joint, saddle joints, condyle joints, ball and socket, and pivot. Here with the examples of this one in your body. As for the vasculature, you have your articular arteries, rises from the vessels of the joint, often anastomose to form networks. As for the veins, usually they are together with your arteries, usually complicated arteries. Then you have this law called states that the nerves supplying the joint also supply the muscles, moving the joint and the skin covering their distal articular nerves. What is proprioception? Any idea? Sense of location. Sense of space of the body, location of the body, space. The synovial membrane is relatively insensitive. Okay, that's why you can, during osteoarthritis, when you have very swollen joints, you can just tap the synovial fluid, okay, without pain. Of course, you need to anesthetize, but the anesthesia is in the skin area, not for the synovial membrane. So that's why, because of synovial membrane is relatively insensitive. So pain fibers are numerous in the joint capsule and accessibility, and responds to twisting and stretching. Now we'll go to muscle tissue and muscular system. You have three types in the muscular system. Of course, you are familiar with this one: cardiac, smooth, and skeletal muscle. This one is already on the tabulated form in your book. Please familiarize. I am very particular on this one because I am lazy. It is very easy to formulate your question, especially on the tabulated. So when you have, on my topic, in my lecture, when you have a tabulated form, please master it. Okay? This is the type of muscle. Now you can classify the muscle according to shape. You have the flat, the pendulate, the fusiform, the divergent, and the quadrant. It depends on the shape. It is very self-explanatory, the form of the muscle. So be familiar with the form of the muscle as well as the example. We have the circular and also on the end. For the contraction of muscles, during your anatomy exam or laboratory, when you are studying muscles as well as the bone, especially for the muscle, you have to remember that every muscle has an origin and an insertion. Now, in general term or in general law of muscle, the insertion always goes towards the origin. Okay, not the other way around. Understood? So when you study your muscles, please study the origin, the insertion, blood supply, and nervation. Okay? So for the origin, it is where, of course, proximally attached, usually fixed. And then for the insertion, it is the distal attachment, which is usually the most part. That's why always the insertion is always going towards the origin. For the types of contraction, you have reflexive, tonic, and basic. For the reflexive, not voluntary. For the for example, would be your diaphragm. The diaphragm is the muscle, and you cannot control your diaphragm. It is stimulated by O2 and CO2 levels. For the contraction, or for the tonic contraction, even when relaxed, it is present even when relaxed. Slight contraction, it does not produce movement or active resistance. Usually absent only when unconscious or near paralysis. For the basic movement, you have your isometric. This means that the muscle remains the same. No movement occurs, but tensionado pa rin. The deltoid is still tension up. For example, for this one, for the resistance towards your gravity. Okay? No movement whatsoever. For the basic isotonic, muscle changes length in relationship to the production of the movement. You have your concentric and eccentric movement. For concentric movement, it occurs as a result of muscle shortening. For example, for this one, raising up your hand. Of course, your deltoids will shorten up. For eccentric, contracting muscles lengthens and undergoes controlled gradual relaxation. Putting your hands down. It's a gradual relaxation of your muscle. That would be your eccentric muscle. Your muscle has a structural unit and a functional unit. Okay? When asked what is the structural unit of your muscle, that would be your muscle fiber, or the functional unit, that would be your motor unit, which consists of a motor neuron and a muscle fiber that it controls. That would be your motor unit. For the functions, you can classify it as a prime mover and a fixator. So the prime mover, as the name per se, being also responsible for producing the specific movement of the body, but the fixator just supports. Okay? Just in general. You could have the synergist, which complements the action of the prime mover, and the antagonist, which opposes the action of another muscle during movement, just for stabilization. For the cardiovascular system, what you need to know is you have the pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. Okay? One would be the systemic circulation, which would be the heart. There would be two muscular pumps that act as units. It's a left and right. Okay? It divides the circulation into two components of what I have said. You have to hear a generalized picture of the cardiovascular system. That was asked before in your exam, on your the Menti exam. So, right, RA meaning familiar, right atrium, right ventricle, and then left atrium, left ventricle. From the right, of course, it goes towards right ventricle receives oxygenated blood, deoxygenated blood. Receives deoxygenated blood. Okay? For the left, of course, it is on the oxygenated blood of the kidney. Okay? So this would be the capillaries. Would be this is where your gas exchange. Okay, and then the lung will fill up those blood with oxygen. The blood will flow to the left atrium, left ventricle, and then to the systemic capillaries. Blood exchange, O2, and then the oxygenated blood flows towards your right atrium and right ventricle, and then goes back to the lung for the pulmonary circulation. Just there are other disease entities. For example, you have the patent ductus arteriosus, patent foraminal that can disrupt this flow. So please study on that for those disease entities. Also, during in vitro or during embryonic levels or during pregnancy where the baby is still in the mother's womb, there are circulations, different circulation already for the baby. Please remember that. Okay? So for the blood vessels, there are types, arteries, veins, and capillaries. Please be familiar with those. They have their codes and tunics. You have your tunica intima, media, and adventitia. The name itself, intima, the inner lining, media, middle lining, and the adventitia will be the outermost. Arteries, obviously, carry blood at relatively high pressure. The blood passes through arteries with increasing caliber. Artery size and type are a continuum that will change in characteristics from one type of another. So for the types of arteries, you have the large, medium, and small arteries. For arterioles. The arterioles will be the smallest of the arteries itself. For the veins, it's still the same, but on the opposite spectrum. It returns low oxygen blood to the capillary beds of the heart, usually on a dark blue appearance. Due to lower blood pressure, walls are thinner and to the immediate and those with the companion arteries. They do not pulsate or spurt blood when severed. So you can actually, grossly, identify between artery and vein. That is the most, where most mistakes come from during the laboratory exam. Either artery or vein. It can be timed. But you have to specify whether it is an artery or a vein. Okay? You can identify it by their caliber of the wall. Of course, arteries, as what I have said, thicker. And usually, sometimes, veins have a bluish color or a blue hue on those That you have to remember. So for that, you will not get confused during examinations. So venules, that would be your smallest veins, in contrast to the arteries would be the arterioles. Okay? So venules drain capillary threads and join similar vessels to form small veins. Small veins are the tributaries of larger veins that unit to form venous vessels. So venous, medium veins, and also large veins. One example would be your superior vena cava. Where can you see your superior vena cava? Where? Superior vena cava. In relation to the heart. In relation to the heart, where is it? In the right atrium, right ventricle. Right atrium. Okay? So the large vein that are connected to the right atrium would be your superior vena cava and of course your inferior vena. Okay? Okay, you can see that in your laboratory when we will discuss the topic of the heart for the cardiovascular system. So reading assignment, these blood capillaries, what are these venicomecanthus, vasa ossorum, and vasa nervorum? Now another more or less vessels that you can encounter would be the lymphatic system. Although these are very small, they serve as an overflow system to drain surplus tissue fluid and leak plasma proteins into the body. Without this, you would have what we call an edema. Okay. They remove debris from cellular decomposition and infection. You have lymphatic plexuses and lymphatic vessels. So what are those lymphs? Lymphs are tissue fluid that enters lymph capillaries, usually clear, watery, similar in position to blood vessel. Lymph nodes, small masses of lymphatic tissue along the course of the lymphatic vessels where the lymph is bigger. So usually you can see this grossly as just fat. You can easily mistake it as a fat nodule. Yellowish. I think you can just see this on your cadaver. I can help you identify this. Lymphocytes, of course, are circulating cells of the immune system. You have your lymphoid organs, parts of the body that produce the lymphocytes, thymus, spleen, and muscles. Then, reading assignment, providing lymphatic duct, thoracic duct, and lymphatic proteins and nasty. So this is the last topic in the anatomy here. This is also the hardest, mind you. Nervous system, structural division, CNS and PNS. CNS, brain and spinal cord. The rest, PNS. Yes, so have to remember. For the functional division, you have somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. So nervous tissue cell types, you have the neurons, which is the structural and functional unit, specialized for rapid communication, composed of the following: cell body, dendrites, and ganglions. Okay. The types of neuron would be a multipolar and the pseudo-unipolar. Multipolar, self-explanatory. 2 or more dendrites. The unipolar, of course, you need short single dendrites. This is your cell body. Okay. Neuralgia will be your support tissues, 5 times as abundant as neurons, non-neuronal, non-excitable. It's just for support. It's insulation and nourishment. Just for support. Oligodendria, astrocytes, endodermal cells, microglia, satellite cells, and small cells are all rolled here. And then your CNS consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Familiar with your cranial nerves and spinal nerves, especially the cranial nerves. Yeah? How many spinal nerves you have? How many? 31. How many cervical spinal? 13. Cervical spinal. 8. Yeah, 8. No? 8. So that is C1 to C8, and then thoracic, T1 up to T12. And the next would be lumbar. How many? 5. Okay. Sacral, and then be familiar, especially cranial nerves. So the CNS, brain, spinal cord, and then carry out higher mental functions, learning, and you have the nucleus, collection of nerve cell bodies, the tract, the gray matter, and the white matter. Incidentally, it is really great when you see the cadaver. The gray matter and the white matter can easily get delineated. So as for the lineages, you have to remember these layers. You have the pia matter, arachnoid matter, and the dura matter. The pia matter would be your innermost, the arachnoid would be in the middle, and the dura would be the outer. But the PNS, again, consists of nerve fibers and cell bodies outside the CNS, conduct impulses to and away from the CNS. The nerve fibers, again, consist of an axon, neurolemma, and the surrounding endonural connective tissue. What is this neurolemma? It consists of cell membranes of Schwann cells that immediately surround the axon. Myelinated fibers, you have your Schwann cells specific to an individual axon. The unmyelinated multiple axons embed within the cytoplasm of the cell, most fibers in cutaneous nerves. Nerve components, bundle of nerve fibers outside the CNS, connective tissue coverings that surrounds them and bind the nerve fibers, and the blood vessels, you have your vasa nervorum that nourish the nerve fibers and their coverings. So if your vasa nervorum is the blood vessel of your nerves, then what would be your reading assignment? What would be this vasa nervorum? Okay, by the name itself, vasa nervorum. The last one was vasa nervorum, blood vessels of the nerves. How about this one? Vasa vasorum. Blood vessel of the your blood vessels need blood vessels as well. That would be the vasa vasorum. Okay? Continue. I think we're almost at the end now. Just together, I think you're already very overwhelmed. Sorry for this. So again, we have the afferent and efferent. For the afferent, that means impulse to the CNS, sensory. Okay? Efferent, motor, going outside, CNS to the effector organs. So nerves, either cranial or spinal. Cranial nerves, you have 12. You have your mnemonics already at that point. Go, touch, and depends on its body. And also, you need to know whether they are sensory, motor, or both. Spinal nerves, again, you are correct. 31 spinal nerves. For the spinal nerves, the PNS, you have the entities called anterior ventral nerve root or the posterior nerve root. So this is just good to know as of this level. During neuro or spinal cord discussion, this should be discussed in a great detail. Anterior ventral nerve root, usually motor, efferent fibers, anterior horn of the spinal gray matter to the fibers. For the posterior, you have your sensory, periphery to sensory nerve endings, and centrally to the posterior nerve. Of course, mga lesion pa mo kung ulit. Imagine condition. This is just good to know. Dermatomes, as asked before, unilateral area of the skin supplied by a single spinal. Myotome, you have your unilateral mass of muscle supplied by a single spinal. So T10, actually you are correct, T10 or the umbilical area. Okay. If asked in the heel area, what is your dermatome level? That would be your H1. Okay. Again, spinal nerve, posterior rami of the spinal nerve, and then you have your anterior rami of the spinal nerve. For the somatic and visceral fibers, you have to differentiate. Somatic meaning movement more or less for the muscle, for the visceral more or less for the internal organs. Okay? For the somatic fibers, you have your GSA, general somatic afferent, that would be your sensory. Again, general somatic efferent, usually for the motor fibers, voluntary muscle movement. Okay? For the visceral, of course, you still have your sensory also and your motor fibers. Visceral internal organs, for example, for this one, you have the heart. For the visceral sensory fibers, for the general visceral afferent, transmit pain and or reflex sensation from all organs and blood vessels to the skin. For the motor, of course, transmits smooth muscle and voluntary muscles, involuntary muscle and glandular tissues to secrete their secretions. Reading assignment, cranial nerve, somatic nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and your splat. Reading function. Because reading assignment no. Ginusto nyo yan. Medicine. So as what CEN told you, it is already a postgraduate, will not be school feeding. So be an adult, be a professional. At last, sorry for the very lengthy discussion, and we are already delayed by your orientation. So, any questions as for the on? You have the schedule given by Dr. Pogilmar or wala pa? How about mga record downstairs? Wala pa sa. Anyway, if you want to have a specific schedule on the topics that will be discussed, can you ask Dr. Pogilmar or from your mayor? Can you ask Pogilmar for that one?